Hey all, it's Alyssa, and I wanted to take a look back at 2025 and see which movies have really stood out to me and affected me and really just like gotten me in the heart or got me in the brain. Because some of these movies, while maybe they weren't the movies that I would watch 5 million times, I was just so impressed with the way that they were constructed. So this year, I've seen 54 movies that are from 2025. I have a pass to go to AMC, so I'm seeing so many more movies in the theater. And I'll say, so far, it's been a good year. It has definitely not been great. And there have been certain movies that maybe I expected were going to hit a little bit more, but they were still good. There weren't so many movies that I thought were just like straight out bad, but also a lot of films that I kind of forget when I think about them. So this is where I am right now with that top 10 list. And it's not really 10 because I had to cheat because I don't know. There were certain movies that I just felt I still had to mention or bring up. There are also movies I haven't seen yet. So I haven't seen Bring Her Back, which I really want to see, but I didn't get a chance to see that in the theater. I didn't see The Ugly Stepsisters, which has been one that's been on my list for a while. So there's definitely a bunch of films I haven't seen. I haven't seen Together. That has been one of the ones that I've been really looking forward to because I love horror. I love body horror. So I'm excited for that one. So starting at this number 10 spot, and this like the 10 and the 9, it really can interchange. I don't know. But I'll just start with The Life of Chuck by Mike Flanagan. Now, this was a movie that I really enjoyed when I was in the movie theater. And there were moments where I just felt like, oh, I'm in another universe. And then it's one of those movies that also, when I left the theater, I didn't think about it quite as much as I thought I would. Now, I really liked the beginning. I've never read the story from Stephen King, so I really had no idea where it was going. So I love the beginning, I love the middle, and then sometimes in movies, when you put kids in them, I start to like lose my focus because I'm not sure if they're the best, but this kid actor, he was good. It was a film that I really, really enjoyed. And watching Tom Hiddleston just have a dance sequence for what felt like a solid 10 minutes, where the person next to me started checking their phone and was so clearly getting bored. I really appreciated it because I feel like I can just watch a good dance scene forever, as you will see also later in the list. But at the end of the day, I really liked how sweet and earnest the movie was and what it was trying to say about life. I love Mike Flanagan. I love when he wears his heart on his sleeve. I know that it can be almost too sweet and saccharine for some people, but I actually really like that about him. So it turned out to be a film that I really, really enjoyed, and it still makes that kind of top 10, top of the list for me. So coming in at number 9 is Mickey 17 by Bong Joon-ho. I thought this was a really funny sci-fi comedy. I thought Robert Pattinson, who agrees to clone himself and to make many versions of himself when they go to this planet to kind of rehabilitate because Earth is so awful. It was a movie that was way funnier than I expected, although I should have known that it would have been funny because I've seen, most of Bong Joon-ho's movies, and there was a lot of that kind of like the Okja comedy in there, and I really appreciated it. Were there parts that maybe I thought was a little overly long? Yeah, maybe, but I still had a lot of fun. I loved the casting. I really liked Naomi Aki in the movie. I thought Robert Pattinson was the best part of the movie. Like, he looked like he was having so much fun throughout the entire filming and getting to play like the multiple characters. It was just a fun movie that did obviously have a deeper meaning. It was incredibly hyperbolic. That Mark Ruffalo performance was over the top, but I still appreciate it because I feel like that is the style of comedy of Bong Joon-ho. So I thought it was a movie that was a lot of fun. So now I'm going to put these two movies together at number like a combo package because they're both Steven Soderbergh movies. And while they could not be more different, I could not have been more happy with them. So I really loved Presence. I thought that was not exactly what I expected it to be. I knew the premise. I knew you're in it's almost like a haunted house story, but from the perspective of the ghost and watching the family. But it turns into this drama, and it's so much more of a drama, especially I want to say in like the first 55 minutes. It starts to turn into a horror towards the end of the movie, but the beginning of it, there's so much about the family, and it's so much about seeing the different dynamics that's going on between Lucy Liu, the mom, and Chris Sullivan, the dad, the daughter, the son. And I just thought, what a smart way to have a film that's really cheap to make and completely in one house, and that's it. It just really was fun to see what you could do with limitations like that, and I feel like that's when Steven Soderbergh is at his best. I'll be honest, not every movie he makes is my favorite. I don't love all of them. Sometimes it's a little bit of a chore. Like, I didn't love No Sudden Move, but I always watch his movies because at the end of the day, he makes things that are interesting and they're actually made for adults. And that's what I appreciate so much. They don't feel like they're being made like dumbed down for me. I can actually sit down and know my mind will be thinking in some degree during this movie. So I really loved Presence more than I thought. I still thought it was kind of predictable. Like, I actually saw where the ending was going, but I still thought it worked so well. A weird little Julia Fox cameo in the beginning. I thought that was fun. And then the other movie that he did, Black Bag, with Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, which for me, can you have a better cast than that? And to have an adult spy movie that is so clearly made for adults and focuses on the relationships with the husband and the wife, and can the husband actually like trust his wife? Is she a double agent? He has to investigate her. It was so much fun. And besides just the plot of it, which of course it's very plotty because it's a spy movie, but what I loved was just the way the film looked and the tension in conversations within certain scenes. Like, there are multiple dinner scenes in this movie that I can visualize right now because of just the way it looked, the color on the wall, the way everything was lit, and then just the really tense dialogue of, and then, well, I won't give it away, but there is one part where people at the dinner table are given something and it then turns into something else. And it was just so fun. And I loved it because it was so short. It's like an hour and a half. Presence is an hour and a half. Steven Soderbergh, he is not messing around. Like, he just gets in, he makes his point, he gets out. I love that, especially when some films I'm like, oh my God, it's still going. And it's 2.5 hours. And maybe I feel like it doesn't exactly need to be 2.5 hours. So that's just amazing. I forgot to say with this and the other ones, most of these you can watch on streaming. So Black Bag is on Peacock right now. Presence is on Hulu or Disney Plus if you get Hulu through Disney Plus. And then Mickey 17 is on HBO Max. And The Life of Chuck is not out yet, as far as I know. But I think it's Neon, which means it would go on Hulu. All right, in at number 7 is Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme. I love Wes Anderson. I'm not going to apologize for that. I think he has actually emotionally relevant films, and it drives me nuts when people don't get that from his movies, or when they just say they're all style, no substance, because I have just felt like the majority of his movies, maybe not every single one, I have felt such a big heart in them. And the same is said for The Phoenician Scheme. I thought the father-daughter relationship with Benicio del Toro and forgetting, I think her name is like Mia Thruppleton, but it's Kate Winslet's daughter. I thought the relationship was amazing. And I just want to see more films with Benicio del Toro at the lead. I just love him. I just watched Reptile the other day, and I thought that was a really good movie, and he was great in that movie. So he's just someone I always want to see. I always want to see more of. He's getting even more interesting the older that he gets. So for me, that combination of putting Benicio in the lead, putting Michael Cera in one of these movies, he was outstanding. And I do not always say that about Michael Cera. I thought he fit into the world perfectly. There's a moment where he like twists and becomes something else, and it was just like, wow, you're such a good actor. The movie is like a fun little, again, it's a little bit of a like a spy movie, and you're on a mission, and like Benicio del Toro almost gets killed at the very beginning because he's so powerful and all these people are out to get him, and so he wants to make sure he can pass on his legacy to his daughter who's a nun. And it was just really funny and sweet. And there's the weirdest sequence with Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston and basketball, and I had so much fun. And as always, so many little cameos and getting to see different people. So the fact that, Riz Ahmed was in a Wes Anderson movie, it was just so much fun. But you see all of the familiar faces also. So Willem Dafoe is in this whole sequence, which is like in heaven, and it's a judgment, and it's filmed in black and white. And it just felt like such a fun movie. And I really, really enjoyed this one. All right, coming in at number 6, the summer blockbuster that stood out the most for me, and I've seen most of them at this point, was Superman by James Gunn. I did not really have any expectations going into this. I'm not a person who dislikes Superman. I'm not a person who loves Superman. I do really love the Christopher Reeve version of Superman. Man of Steel, it was fine. But what I loved about this movie is that it took out everything I did not like about Man of Steel. So in the beginning, it's like, I don't need the entire backstory. I know it. I've seen it so many times. I don't need to see like hit the family and the background. And I don't need to see when Clark is a kid and growing up and all of that. And it was just so nice to just start the movie and to not have to, in a way, kind of like waste time with that, but still have a character in Superman that is just so emotional and earnest and sweet and so gee golly. Like, I loved David Cornsweet in this movie. I obviously I've seen him in Pearl and Twisters, but I haven't seen him in that many movies. And I was like, yeah, he kind of looks like Superman. But when I saw him in the movie and the acting, I was just like, wow, he is Superman. And I thought one of the greatest strengths of the movie was really the casting. I thought Rachel Brosnahan was amazing at Lois Lane. And I loved the way they designed her costumes and that beginning interview that she does with Clark, and the fact that, I mean, honestly, right from the beginning, that they're dating each other. Like, this movie didn't waste any time. And yeah, it added in a good amount of characters, but it really didn't feel that it was too many. There's a lot of people that thought it was too much at once, but I felt like James Gunn did such a great job of just building the world and having you realize, like, okay, this isn't exactly Earth, but I get what this is. And I thought one of the best scenes that showed this, which is not really any spoilers, but it's like Lois Lane and Clark, Superman, they're having a conversation. And as they are, there's like this little creature monster outside the window, and it's having a little battle with someone, and they just disregard it because they know it's fine and it's all going to work out and someone's taking care of it. Like, I appreciate things like that. And that felt James Gunn. But what I also liked is that it didn't feel too James Gunn, because I know Superman isn't supposed to be like that. And it's not supposed to be like so smart alecky. But I thought Nicholas Hoult was so good as Lex Luthor, as like a young, sort of like babyish version. You could definitely equate him to many real life figures. I thought the movie just was so entertaining. And while it was, I believe, probably a little on the longer side, I never felt like the movie was long. And really, a film could be 3 hours. And if it's a necessary 3 hours, then I love it. It's just some of these superhero movies have been feeling a little padded for me. And I like that this movie just got straight into it. So definitely the best blockbuster movie that I saw this summer. All right, next up, number 5 is Ennington by Ari Aster. Now, this is one of those movies that when I was watching it, I can't say that I was 100% enjoying it. And there was a lot coming at me at once, but I did feel like, okay, this is very like rich and it's very layered. I had this like gut reaction where I'm like, I really wish I had more of the Emma Stone character and more with her family and then more with Austin Butler. And it was this, because you're just so focused on the conflict between Joaquin Phoenix as the sheriff and then Pedro Pascal, who is the current mayor. And they're both in this kind of election to become mayor. And it takes place you all know this, during 2020, during COVID, in New Mexico. And it's like this new Western, and it definitely is. There's no other way to say it. I thought it was really funny, and especially like in the beginning and the middle. I am the rare person where if you put too much action in things, like the third act of the movie, I start to like, my brain starts to phase out because I'm just like, all right, it's more action coming. Like the same thing happens when I watch Marvel movies. I will fall asleep at the end of the movie because it's just too much action and my brain drifts off. But the film brings up so many different points, and maybe it's too much at once, but Ari Aster is really going for it, and it's the kind of movie I can't wait to watch again to see all of the different details. But it already felt so full and it felt so rich. You have details in their house with the father who passed away, Emma Stone's father, and how his presence sort of looms on the entire story. I really loved that part. There's a lot of side characters with like teenagers who are trying to go with certain political affiliations, but just because they like a girl, and you just see people's motivations in a way that does feel accurate to the way that people are. And I did love the fact that it just sort of presented what everybody was like and what it was like in this one town and sort of left it there. And it didn't try to give you too many answers, though I definitely felt by the end of the movie, you knew where Ari Aster was in all of it. All of the acting is great. Like I said, Joaquin Phoenix really feels like a Western, like a sheriff. And I would not typically put him or think to put him in a role like that. But in this weird way, I kind of just wish we had more time with some of the other characters because I thought they were so rich as well. But I really loved it, and I can't wait to see that film again. All right, coming in at number 4, a movie that I think not that many people actually liked, but maybe because I had lower expectations, it has like stayed in my heart. Like Eddington was like a head movie for me, but The Materialist by Celine Song, that's a heart movie for me. And I really loved what this was saying about love and how people treat each other or look at each other, or how some people will look at coupling up and it's like such a business for them and trying to match up and check boxes. And I've never really seen that in a movie before. And yet I've in real life met so many people like that. I met people who didn't particularly like the person that they were with, but and wasn't really attracted to the person they were with, but because of, they had a lot of money and they had status and they like felt like they could have the life that they've always wanted, that they looked at it in this really transactional way. And so watching this movie, I was like, yeah, there's a lot of people that are like this. And I love that you're seeing it through a matchmaker and how Dakota Fanning, Dakota Johnson. Did I say Dakota Definitely Dakota Johnson, who I love. Um, and how she's a matchmaker and looks at everything now so like mathematically, and so it's a basic story in terms of a love triangle, and Pedro Pascal is the rich person who has everything and could give her a very specific kind of life, and Chris Evans is an actor. So enough said, you get the whole setup, but I just thought there was a lot of nuance in the way that Celine Song presented it. And even just the last closing scene with the credits, I just felt like, wow, it just feels real and human, and it had this heart, and it definitely had her perspective as a director. And it's just nice to see, like, I love Past Lives. That was a brilliant film. This is not exactly in the same tone as Past Lives. There's a lot more comedy in this, though, also marketed as a romantic comedy, but it doesn't really fit what you traditionally think of as a romantic comedy. So I can see why it didn't do as well. I can see why people didn't like it. But for me, this felt like a movie that was really made for me. All right, in at number 3 is 28 Years Later with Aaron Taylor Johnson and Jodie Comer and Ray Fiennes, and even a little cameo at the end with Jack O'Connell. I love that this is directed by Danny Boyle. I love that we get to go back into his vision of this world, and that Alex Garland gives us such a different perspective and such a different movie than what I think you would expect. And it is in it's very distinct parts. And in this movie, I thought the child father relationship, the child mother relationship, it was just at the center and the heart of everything. I really liked the child actor. I thought the movie was gross, not scary, but definitely very suspenseful. But it takes you to a place that goes so far beyond the infected, zombies, whatever you want to say. And then you find out, how is the world sort of dealing with this? It definitely has that undercurrent of Brexit in it. But when Ray Fiennes gets into the film, that's when it really clicked into place for me. And I wasn't expecting to go into a 28 days, years, weeks movie and really be crying at points of it. I could not help myself. I could not stop. I just felt water just like gushing down my face and trying to pay attention with what was going on. But I really loved this first one and what it was saying about grief and our life and humanity. It was saying more than I expected it to stay. And I'm very excited for the next one. I think it's going to be so different if the ending is anything. What I loved about this, probably more than anything, is that this felt so British. Like every reference, they did not make this movie for American audiences to understand everything. And I loved that about it because this is such a British movie. And 28 Days Later revolutionized like digital film and the way you could shoot things. And I love that he still uses iPhones in this movie, but in a different way. So like technically the movie is made in such an interesting way, but then also emotionally, because you have this Alex Garland script and he's got such a at times emotional and detached way of approaching things. But I think Danny Boyle has such a big heart that the two of them together, they like really make magical movies to me. I really, really loved it. All right, coming in at number 2. I don't know if this is recency bias because it definitely could be. I just watched this on Peacock and I loved it. And it's so undervalued that I thought I need to say it as number 2, but it's called The Ballad of Wallace Island. If you can tell, I love anything that is British, that is Irish, and this is just like a sweet British dramedy. It's so funny in certain parts, but yet I also thought it was really emotional. It was easy to watch. It's about there used to be a folk duo that was very popular years ago, and they've broken up as a couple, they've broken up as a duo, and then years later, this fan who's very wealthy asked them to come and perform a concert for him on Wallace Island, and they find out he is the only person who will be at the concert. So it has all those perfect sort of British awkward moments. It's sweet, it's funny, but it's also not saccharine, and it doesn't always go in a direction that you would just 100% expect it to go in. I mean, it does for the most part, but it doesn't take turns that it could have taken that would have been way too saccharine and that I would not have liked the film. So I feel like they had a nice balance. The music was good. I'm not even a person who particularly loves folk music, but I thought these songs were actually good. So definitely watch that. It's on Peacock. It's the kind of movie I feel like you could just recommend to pretty much anybody. All right, coming in at number one, the one movie I've seen this three times already, Sinners by Ryan Coogler. I loved this movie. Like from the second it started, the way it was shot, and talk about loving the music. Like this is the kind of music that I love. I love blues, and then when they add in like the old like Irish music, I was like, what is going on? Like when I saw it the first time, I had this immediate feeling, and it's during the first dance sequence. And if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I was like, this is what people mean when they say movies are magic. It was magic to watch this, to watch the sequence, to watch how the camera was moving, how the music was integrated, how the music changed, like what it meant at a more metaphoric level. I loved everything about this movie. I will say the first 45 minutes, you got to get all the characters together. And so it's one of those where it's like very, I don't know, a little predictable in the beginning, but you need that. And you need to be so attached to those characters to get to that 45-minute mark when you get to the juke joint. And my God, did that movie not disappoint at all. And I love vampires, so I'm definitely the right person. I also love things that have that sort of Southern Gothic aesthetic. It was just like the right time period. I love Michael B. Jordan in the movie. Like, I love everyone in the movie. Delroy Lindo, Haley Steinfeld. I love Jack O'Connell as Remick because Ryan Coogler doesn't make things just like in one direction where it's like, oh, right and wrong and this and that. It's like everything felt very layered. And he really layered that Remick character and his background and having this comparison with Ireland, America, slavery. Like it was just really a different take. And not only was it a different take and saying something kind of different, it was just so entertaining. And I had so much fun. It's a movie that I feel like I will watch once a year. Like it's just one of those movies in rotation. And I listen to the soundtrack, I listen to the music all of the time. I just can't say enough good things about this movie, though. Also, I know maybe not for everyone because it does shift a little bit if you did not know that was coming, if you didn't watch the trailer, I don't know. But those are my kind of top 10, top 11 of 2025 so far. Can't wait to see what else is going to come out. Would love to hear from all of you with what your favorite movies are that you've seen so far. I haven't seen as many indie ones. The one best one that I saw was Bring Them Down, which was an Irish movie that I saw on Mubi, and it had Barry Keoghan and Chris Abbott, and it was probably the most similar to like an Eddington kind of feel in terms of what the movie was about, and it has sort of like behavior that's passed down generationally, and I just thought that was a really interesting, very kind of indie movie. So would love to hear any films that you've seen that maybe I haven't seen that you would put in your top 10. And is there anything that you're looking forward to seeing? So I hope everyone is doing well. And I just get so excited talking about these movies. And I'm excited to keep making these videos. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want, you can definitely subscribe to the channel, but I do appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. Bye.